What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hockey Edmonton Show. I'm YouTube Trev. Alongside me today is the co-host of the Hockey Edmonton Show, Jeremy Haluschak. How are you doing today, man?
I am doing well. It's a nice morning here. And yeah, still some good weather still, so it's always good. How about you?
Yeah, really good. We were talking about the weather all week. It's probably the last week of fine weather, so make the most of it while you can. For sure, I know it was raining. Did you catch the rain this morning?
I did not.
It was storming.
I get up a little bit later than you guys.
Okay,
so
that's fair. Yeah, we were coming in at 5 o'clock, and it was just absolutely coming down there. So, yes, it is a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful day to talk hockey in Edmonton, and that's what we're going to be talking today throughout today's show. We got some points, how to be a supportive parent and whatnot, how to volunteer with your organization, and also, so right out of the gate, Jeremy, how can you be a supportive parent in Hockey Edmonton?
Yeah, it's definitely topical as we're getting into the season here. It's games are starting, practices are starting, and you're starting to become part of that hockey environment. So again,
like year.
Exactly. It might not look that way with the weather that we've had lately, but fall means hockey here, and it's an exciting time. But like Trevor said, there are some things that we can do to make sure that we are enhancing our participants' experience, and one of those is to ensure that we are being supportive for our players and our kids during their hockey experience.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, it's a good conversation to have, and as you've seen throughout hockey, just going forward with parents, there's lots of examples of good parents out there and how to be a supportive parent. But unfortunately, there is some cases where parents can, be I don't want to say bad, but they just maybe could do things a little bit differently. Is a fair way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think once again, we want to talk about, the not to paint, everybody under the same brush. And quite honestly, it's, parents want the best for their kids, and that's great, and that's what we should expect. I think sometimes the emotions get channeled potentially in the wrong ways, and they come out in unintended consequences. When I was at Hockey Alberta, we talked about dealing with stuff that happens outside of the rules. It's called game and conduct, and basically a lot of times what you have is that intent versus impact. What you're intending may not have the same impact on somebody else, and that's a lot of times what we see here in those interpersonal relationships and interactions. So again, like I said, what we want to try to do is highlight some of those things that maybe think about in terms of how you're showing your enthusiasm for your child's successes in the hockey realm. And again, just like I said, there's a lot of good articles here, and by no means am I the expert, but we can definitely share that information here. And as we go through this program, or not this program specifically, but as we go through the season, we definitely want to have an expert on to discuss it a little bit further here, because I think there's been some good people that have come through the Hockey Alberta system in terms of presenting on how to be a supportive parent, how to be a positive role model. So again, want to try to grab one of them to come on and speak a little bit more in depth on this.
No, absolutely. No, that's a good point, man. And we are just getting started. This is week 4. It's kind of crazy. This is 1 month in. Hey? Crazy. It's been, from all accounts, like I'm loving it. I'm having a grand old time. I know the views are good. We're getting some comments, a lot of nasties. So feel free to chime in as well. As always, you can chime in on the nasty chat right now. So we do encourage comments because it's good. It's good to conversate about this for sure. But why would you say, why is this important? Why is it important to be, a supportive parent when it comes to, just chasing a kid's dream? And like, how can you be important in a good way?
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously from the start, why it's important, because it does influence the child's behavior. So again, and their experience in the game. So when we think of things, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on here about, making sure the game is fun and they are putting in a opportunity to succeed. I think, that how we're showing our emotions influences that a lot. And like I said, there's definitely studies out there that show this. There are a lot of experts. And it's interesting when you bring in some of those that have played at the highest levels or been elite athletes, and now they're becoming parents and bringing their kids into the system. They're seeing, just some differences on how they were as an athlete versus how they are as a parent or a coach. So it definitely is something. So, a nice balancing act, because again, like we said, we want the best for our kids. I get it. I'm not a parent, but if I'm a parent, I want to see my kids succeed. And, I'm enthused when they succeed. Like I'm a coach, or I was a coach. And even when I was volunteering in different roles at Hockey Alberta for our programs, the joke was they could see me banging on the glass during the games from upstairs where our boardroom was, just because I was so invested in seeing them succeed and seeing them pull off things that we had talked about in practice and that. So again, I understand that side of it. Again, it's trying to make sure though that we are channeling those emotions in the proper manner. So
no, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the first things that you talk about, or that we talk about when we think about parenting, is that, yelling, right? Yes. That's the standard happens. Way of showing your emotion is that, is through that way. Right. And definitely it's just a common one. So, and one of the things that when you talked about the parents and how how it influences the game, I use this analogy as well when I was doing risk management presentations, but people tend to forget how unnatural hockey really is as a sport. We're born with the abilities to run, walk, throw, but in hockey, we have more factors in play. You have to skate on the ice. So we're strapping blades onto your feet, and you have to move around a non-friction ice or surface. Again, something that we're not born to do naturally. You have to chase a small object around the ice, very small object. We do this while giving you a stick as well. And that's how you move that object around the ice. And then you're trying to put that object into a small space when you think about it. You put a goaltender in front of the net that takes up,
90% of the net.
Exactly.
At least.
Exactly. And then on top of that, we're asking you to coordinate all of this with a whole bunch of players in a confined space. Yeah. So again, it's probably it is the most unnatural sport that Absolutely. You can play. So when you think of yelling at your kid when they're trying to do this, is that adding just one more another distraction onto them? I mean, the kids do hear the yelling. Like you can hear that regardless of where you are in the arena. You will hear that. And kids recognize that voice amongst all the noise. They will recognize their parents. So often what disrupts an athlete is that sound that they may fear or they may anticipate with anxiety. Because like we said 2 weeks ago in our program about, supporting your child during the tryout processes, kids do not want to disappoint their parents, right? So when they hear that emotion, that's what, at the end of the day, triggers that, am I going to disappoint my parent if I don't do something that they're saying? So again, you're tossing another distraction at them when we're asking these kids, especially as they're learning the game, a lot of things. Like we are asking our children, this is a great game to play, but we're asking them to learn a lot about just trying to play the game and learn those skills. So again, the questions to ask yourself is my yelling preventing my child from having fun? And is my yelling preventing my child from being fully invested in developing his or her skill? So again, I think the first one is fairly simple, and parents can recognize that a lot, because their parents are also self-aware as well. The second one that may slip the back of my mind again, or the back of a parent's mind, is again that, is my yelling preventing the child from being fully invested? Am I adding another distraction to them while they're trying to learn something new, or while they're trying to actually implement what they've been learning in the practice?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can I touch on that? Sure. that is huge. Like you think about it, like for me, I wasn't the most skilled player, and my family was always, very supportive of me. But just from friends growing up playing hockey, I'd feel bad. Like, and you'd see it like so many times. Like, like some parents, they come in the locker room when, parents are still allowed in the locker room, but we're talking, Pee-wee, Adam, novice, like very young. And it's like, they shouldn't be, getting ripped on. Like, look, this is still a kid. They're here to have fun. At the end of the day, like, sorry. Yeah, I know some parents can get really competitive, but like, you can't add all this pressure. Like, kids already in themselves put so much pressure on themselves, especially depending on the parent, right? So like, it really goes a long way, and it sucks that is the case, especially at that young of an age, because it's like come on, like the kid's just trying to have fun here.
Well, and it's funny you say that. I remember even my coaching days. So again, U13, so Pee-wee. Again, I had a lot of great kids, and I know some days and we'll touch on this a little bit later on, but a lot of times they're self-aware too. They know when they've screwed up, when they put 100%. Bad attitude or bad effort in that. And I remember we got stomped. We got absolutely destroyed, and the kids knew it, and I didn't have to say anything. And again, one of my other mentors, I forgot to give him a shout out, Byron Swab. So anybody that's on the north side of Edmonton, Northeast Zone, knows what a great person and mentor he was and is. Me and him walked into that dressing room, and I looked around and didn't say much. I just sat there and said, I know it's going to be a crappy car ride home for most of you. What we all know here, what happened, so we're not going to dwell on that. We're going to look forward to practice tomorrow. And so again, because I've told the stories, I was very close with this parent group, and some of them asked me what I said. I'm like, don't need to say anything to them today, because quite honestly, they're going to get it from you guys as well. On the way home.
On the ride home, absolutely.
So yeah, and we'll talk about the ride home as well a little bit later on. So with that being said, like we said, yelling is not necessarily though a bad thing. There is a place for that at the rink.
Yeah.
We want to make sure, though, it's not hampering everyone's experience. So again, when you're showing that emotion, let's make sure that we are showing it in a positive aspect. So again, refrain from yelling those directives like shoot, pass, and skate. We do that enough at the NHL games. Let's keep that at the Oilers level. Because again, like I said, we go back to wanting to make sure that we're allowing our players and our children to focus their attention on learning how to actually read the play, how to observe what's going on the ice. Again, when you're tossing in that shoot, it's a second too late anyway. Yeah. So all of a sudden, when you're yelling shoot, or when a parent's yelling shoot, by the time they actually hear that player, that defender might be in the lane already. And all of a sudden, everybody's up in arms. Why was the shot blocked? Well, because, again, kid hears it a second later, what he's seeing on the ice, or she, is different than what he or she's seeing when they hear that. Again, the big thing is we want to cheer when those good actions occur. So again, we talk about the great plays, the great saves, the great defending, the great passing, the great shooting. Again, let's celebrate those. Make sure they're all it's focused on the team play as well, because again, in hockey, we are one of those. While there's a lot of team sports, really hockey is probably one of the most purest team sports there is, because you have to utilize almost everybody on the ice to score. It's not like in football where it's the quarterback and there's going to be people guarding him, but play goes to a receiver or running back, and then the couple field or down the field, some other players may chip in. But again, in hockey, a lot of times it is everybody on the ice has to be part of it. So again, let's make sure that we are focusing on the successes of the team. Again, cheering the effort. We'll talk about this in wins and losses, but again, at the end of the day, it's a process. And if you repeat that process over and over again, you're going to be more likely to win. But sometimes you can do everything perfect and not win. And so again, let's make sure we're cheering that process on. So again, might be a nice, great outlet pass to a breakaway, and the child makes a great move on the goaltender, but somehow the goalie makes a save. So still a success to get that scoring chance. So again, let's celebrate those. Obviously, it goes without saying, let's make sure we're not criticizing the players, coaches, and refs, because again, that just can add to that unease,
tension
and
builds up.
Exactly, that's the best words there. And again, we talk a little bit later on in this article, or these articles that I've grabbed, They talk about just that unease around the team, and again, when we're doing that, that just adds to it and impacts the participants' experiences. And I think one of the things that we said before in the episode with Dusty there, focus on these first 6 words. I love to watch you play.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what you're there to do, is you're there to watch them play. Let them learn their skills. Let them have fun. Your role is watching them play. And again, let them hear that I love to watch you play.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more there. And it's interesting what you say, like the tension that builds up. And it's like, it's one thing, you got to lead by example being a coach. And if you're yelling at your coach, if stuff gets like, pretty nasty, unfortunately, especially at a younger age, if it's U13, your players will most likely follow suit. And I got an example of that quickly. But when I was in, it was youth there, Pee Wee then, U13 now, I was playing this game and my one coach started throwing water bottles at the refs. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that is not good. He gets kicked out of the game. Parents from the crowd start yelling at the refs. They get kicked out of the game. It got really nasty. And what followed was all of us players were like, hey, like, look, the coaches are yelling at the refs. We're going to do it too. Our parents are getting kicked out of the game. We're going to do it too. And so I still to this day, whenever I go back home, me and the buds, we talk about this game because it was just crazy, but it all goes to, leading by example. And, there are good things to, exactly. It's constructive criticism. If you're yelling at your player for a good reason, certain players, a lot of players can really like rally behind that. If it motivates them. If your coach says something, it's like, come on, like, do this, and you do it, your coach, depending on the coach, but most likely they'll have a big smile on their face. And that goes such a long way with the player. So I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, I think that as we talk about from the parent's perspective, I think it's also okay to remember that, as a parent, it's okay to have expectations. But again, as we're talking about those things, we want to make sure that they are channeled in the proper direction. So I think like,
and
it's
setting fair expectations. Expectations grow as your kid grows, right? Yeah. You shouldn't be having like crazy expectations for a kid at a very young age.
Well, no, exactly. And I think overall, you could have this base of expectations. As a parent, you should expect them to improve their skills. That's something you should expect from your organization as you're participating in it. And you should expect, again, like we've highlighted throughout our program, that they have a positive experience. Those for sure are expectations that are not unreasonable for parents to have. And again, like I said, that's something you can expect from, the Hockey Edmonton programs that you have. So again, those are not unrealistic expectations. The challenge that we do see is how do you have those constructive discussions when those expectations aren't being met? And again, I think as we talked about, that's one of those other things that creates that uneasiness around the teams sometimes, because again, you might have expectations or the expectation of a parent or of a child improving his or her skill in your view may not be happening. Okay, well, how do you actually have that conversation as opposed to letting it simmer on the side, and again, having that open dialogue to create those clear understandings. So I think, and we'll go into a little bit later on here in our conversation, but I think there's three things to first of all remember when you want to have those conversations is, again, focusing on what the child wants from playing sports, ensuring that your child is having fun and developing skills, and communicating appropriately with your coaches. So again, like I said, expectations are good. And you should have them when you are investing time and energy into programming and such. But again, let's make sure that we are focusing on having those positive interactions. So again, the first thing, like we said, is focus on your child's wants. So again, why do kids play the game? So there's multiple studies here. Michigan State University study that's said in this article that I took, the top 3 things: have fun, do something I'm good at, and improve my skills. There was another study that was referenced in this article. Again, have fun, improve my skills, stay in shape. Finally, a Psychology Today study, have fun and improve my skills. So again, ties back to what the proper expectation should be is, again, improving the skills, having fun, having that positive experience. And so that's great that we talk about these expectations, but how do you tell if your child is actually having fun and developing skills? So I think, that's the next step there in it. So
that is such an important message. I feel like that's fair for most parents. What you should, after maybe 2-3 years of playing hockey, when they are still like, why, like, just having a good conversation with your kid, like, why do you want to play? Is it, are you like, you're doing really good, but like, it's good to be open and to have those conversations with your kid, because when you find out what your kids want, then you can help give them that. But if you start, setting expectations for kids and they don't even know if they want to do that, like that's pretty unfair to them.
No, exactly. And I think you just actually hit one of the things right there, right off the bat.
Let's go.
At the end of the day, you know your kids, like you know how they interact, how they are. So there are things you can observe from the stands that'll give you a good idea if they are having fun and developing. But I think the first thing, like you just said, ask them. At the end of the day, ask them if they're having fun. And I wouldn't limit it to a yes or a no question. Ask them in an open-ended question. Ask them how fun it is, something like that, to get them having that conversation. That way you can at least understand if they are having fun or not, or if they're not having fun, what are those challenges that they might be feeling there. So again, and that just helps encourage them as a person to continue to develop. The next one again is, are they engaged? Are they interested in being there, eager to being there? When they're there, are they present? Are they listening? Are they following the instructions of the coach? Again, do they look like, active listening? When we're looking at this, though, ensure that we're not making sure that, not confusing this with them being tired, because sometimes that does happen as a kid.
Yeah, you can tell.
They're tired. That means they may not want to be getting to the rink as quickly as they normally do.
Right.
And such. So again, making sure that they are engaged, that's a great sign to show that, they are still having fun. Are they participating with enthusiasm? Again, if their shoulders are shrugged, looks like they're dragging their you-know-what around the ice, head down, slumped over, again,
that's a telling sign.
That's telling that they might not be enthused. If kids enjoy the activity, they don't need a lot of pushing to participate. So again, if they're still loving going to the rink, you don't have to sit there and yell at them to get going to the car, or, when they're on the ice, the coach doesn't have to be consistently pushing and prodding them to do the drill at an up-tempo speed. Again, if they're participating, if they enjoy it, they're going to participate with not having to be, encouraged.
Absolutely.
Right? Again, do they care? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Do they care? It's okay to be disappointed with an outcome, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but where you should be worried is if the child actually just doesn't care if the team or he or she doesn't play well or not. Again, if they don't care, then they're probably not having fun. And again, as we go back to, are they eager? So are they eager to go to practices and game? Again, if they're not having fun, they don't want to go. So again,
Right.
I think those are some telltale signs that, again, are they having fun? And things that you can observe in their interactions as they go through any sport.
For sure. And it's for me, I was always the kid. I was always super involved with hockey, like when I was at the practices. But that being said, I was also the kid that maybe didn't look the most engaged. The coach was definitely, whistling a lot harder at me when he's trying to do a drill and I'm like skating in the back. So there are some cases where you might not look engaged, but you can work around that, and eventually, you'll come around, right? So there is cases for that. But this is the Hockey Edmonton Show. I'm YouTube Trev, and this is Jeremy Haluschak. You're absolutely crushing it today.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's it's definitely a good topic and a passionate topic, because I think that as we want to make sure that our participants are having that positive experience. And again, like I said, we're in the process of potentially looking at our guiding principles, mission, vision, and all that. But I think, at the end of the day, one of the things that Hockey Alberta really got right was their vision of hockey for life. And we want to really keep people engaged in the game for life. And, so going back to our fun and how to tell if they're fun and developing those two expectations a parent should have. Well, how do you tell if your child is developing properly? So that's the next point
That's
of
a good
those
question.
and of your expectations. And I think the first thing that you need to look at is, are practices age appropriate? One of the things that I learned, again, as I navigated through my coaching journey, and like we talked about last week, Nathan talked about being vulnerable in that, and it's stuck in the back of my head, unfortunately, a little bit too late, is sometimes we think children are small adults. Well, they actually aren't. They are not small adults. They are still developing the skills, both the brain, the coordination, all of that. So they're not small adults. So again, when we're talking about practices, we need to make sure that they are age appropriate. That's one of the great things that Hockey Canada does with their program of excellence and the coaching manual resources that are available, is they have created those coach age specific pathways to make sure that those practices are age appropriate. The next thing, again, the practices should match a kid's level of physical, mental, and emotional development. Again, if we're wanting to sit there and have a stretch pass from behind the net to hit another kid at the far blue line, well, sorry, a U9 player ain't going to be doing that with success, right? So let's make sure that, again, and that's because, again, they probably don't even have the physical ability to send that puck down the ice that far, let alone the mental development of understanding time and space and how that other child comes through and is going to accept that pass. Oops. So I just wrecked the studio here, and I'm surprised I haven't done that yet to any full extent here. But again, talk about that mental, physical, and emotional development. And again, same thing. You go back to 30 years ago, the coaches that would be, we got to hit. Well, no, not at U9. That ain't appropriate. Because they don't have the physical capabilities to do it properly. They honestly do not have the mental capabilities to understand why you're doing it. And when we're actually piling that on, that's going to actually hurt their actual development and such. And then again, practices, we want them to align with long-term athlete development. And we'll talk about this in future episodes. And you've heard me talk about long-term athlete development here. Our goal is not to get people necessarily to the NHL, because that is such a small fraction. Even to get them into scholarship positions, such a small fraction of the people will go on to have that. What our goal here in sport is we want to keep people physically active throughout their lifetime. So that's, when we talk about being age appropriate, that's what we look at when we're talking about our practices. The next one are kids developing their individual skills. Well, I think that's pretty straightforward, right? Yeah. It's not a little bit of rocket science there, but I think sometimes we focus too much on team tactics. And again, if they can't develop these individual skills, the game becomes more difficult for them to actually participate in. So that's why early on, when you're introduced to hockey, a lot of it, 90 to 100% of the focus of practices at those young ages are those individual skills, because if you can't skate, can't shoot, can't pass, you can't do a breakout, you can't forecheck. It was funny, we talked about this with Dusty 2 weeks ago, and you met show favorite Greg Terry. He came in to his position where a coach had left, and he was tasked with coaching his daughter's team at U11. One of the parents reached out respectfully, but reached out and said, well, we're not working on breakouts. And Greg's response was, I have 3 kids that can pass the puck.
Yeah.
How are we going to do a breakout when they can't even pass the puck appropriately? Once we can actually get their individual skills there, then we'll work on the team tactics. And again, it just makes sense, right? Yeah. Are the drills age appropriate? Ties back to that practices being age appropriate, but kids should be challenged without feeling discouraged.
That's a very good point.
Again, they're not going to be perfect, but if they're consistently not doing the drill or not being able to do the drill, then that's a telltale sign that drill isn't age appropriate at the end of the day. Like I said, you can tell when kids, because they may not accept the pass properly because of, their wrist might be over like this and puck goes up into the air or whatever, or they are not paying attention to accepting the pass. Those are individual things that happen. But again, if the kid is consistently not being able to pull it off, that's a telltale sign about the drill not being age appropriate.
For sure. Yeah. And I quickly, actually, I got a pretty good example on that. So where I come from, Southern Alberta, super small town, we actually only had one team, and the team my brother, he was playing for, but unfortunately, my brother, he knew how to skate, he knew how to pass and shoot and all the fundamentals, but he didn't have a team for his age, so he actually had to go up a level. And you could just see, like, they're doing stuff that it was just, drills he was totally not prepared for, and he'd be very sad. He'd be like, everyone, but coach isn't gonna stop all or adjust all these drills for just one person, right? So he had to roll with the punches, and he did, and he ended up having an okay season. He made fun of it when he could, but he was always, it was tough, right? So that's a very good point there.
Yeah, definitely. And as we keep on going through this, I think one of the things, again, to see if your child is developing properly is, the purpose of our drills are to make sure that they are moving around and spending most of the time on their tasks. Kids are standing around too long, they're not touching the puck. At the end of the day, that's the goal, is we want to get them touching the puck as much as possible. And, that's how they're going to develop those individual skills. And I think that as we talk about, again, later episodes, the conversation around half ice, this is one of the biggest benefits of half ice programming, is that the kids touch the puck the most in those situations. We want them to be playing with that puck. We want them to get comfortable with the puck on their stick. So again, if you're seeing your practices where there's a lot of standing around, you know what? If it's a consistent theme in your practices, then that's okay to ask, hey, what's going on? Have that dialogue there. There are some drills that sometimes that you're going to have some standing around, but again, they're standing around too much, too long, and too often, they're probably not developing the skills they need to. Again, are the practices, are they playing games in practices? Are they having fun in practice? Again, we can talk about, specific drills and such, but again, we want to make sure during our practices that they're also fun. So again, there's different ways to incorporate different types of small area games into practices, or again, making it competitive in the practice environment just to make it fun. You don't have to be the drill sergeant where your line rushes, for example, there and back, there and back, there and back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's different ways if you want to work on their skating to make it fun for them. So again, making sure that, again, there's that good balance of the specific drills, but we're incorporating them into fun ways. And again, we talk about one straightforward way to look. And, in this article, some people be like, really? Like, that's one of the points? But it's absolutely black and white. Are other teams developing faster than your team is? Like, it is fairly straightforward there. But again, if you're seeing these things here, those are some, opportunities for you to ask, hey, is this program meeting the development expectations I'm setting out for, again, my child? And again, we're talking about looking at it in that relative range. When we talk about the expectation, well, I expect my kid to be at this level. Well, no, it is he or she developing to get to, the level that they want to be at? So again, those are those expectations. Again, are they having fun? And are they better than yesterday, the day before that?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. This is the Hockey Edmonton Show. I'm YouTube Trev alongside Jeremy. As always, you can chime into the nasty chat. We do read the comments, so feel free to chime in. No, we're having a good conversation here. Very important conversation as well. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say there. But so let's continue this conversation, Jeremy. I'll let you. Yeah, sorry.
For sure. I think that we talked about the expectations. We talked about having good expectations and showing that emotion is all good. We talk about, though, now what happens when those expectations aren't being met. So again, how are you going to talk to your coaches? And again, like we talked about, this is where I've seen things go sideways. I spent 7 years in game and conduct at Hockey Alberta, so that meant I dealt with the stuff outside of the rules. And again, we see this is where it usually happens, is how to have those conversations. one or two things happen. Either people ignore it and then it bubbles over at the end of the year, or people come in at guns a-blazing and that fight happens early on, right through that process. So again, we said that, yes, it is good to have those expectations. So again, let's talk about how do you have that conversation when you feel those expectations aren't being met. And I think the first thing is again, the number one goal when you're having that conversation with the coach is ensuring that you're both on the same page, and that is how you are improving your child's experience. Again, it's not your experience. You're not paying to watch them play. It's based on their experience, and how are we ensuring that they're improving their experience and having a positive experience. Again, when we talk about the coach programs that you've heard me go on here a couple times here, those coach clinics do have aspects of how do you interact with the parents. So again, don't be afraid to have that conversation with them. They've gone through some of the conversational pieces that how do you have open dialogue with other people. So again, don't be afraid to have that. I think that sometimes is a big issue is I'm worried about rocking the boat, or I'm worried this is going to go sideways. No, it's a two-way street. So again, be respectful, but understand that, yeah, they've been given some of the tools to manage this. I think the biggest thing to start with is understanding your process. Again, like we talked about with Dusty early on, each association is going to have different processes and how to navigate concerns. Again, and it's going to be basically up to the coach in some cases on how they want to deal with that. So whether that is through parent liaison or directly, whether that's 24 hours later or, at a respectable time. Again, for me, I had no problems with the parents actually coming to me. I actually wanted that. So that way I didn't have to deal with the telephone game, right? This person said it to my parent liaison, who then comes to me, and it's like, okay, well, now I have to have another conversation and go back and forth. No, I preferred it that way. But again, knowing that process is important, because if I wanted it that way and enjoyed that, and all of a sudden you come at me guns a-blazing, then that doesn't end up good for anybody at the end of the day. Because again, our associations do support their coaches. They support their participants as well. Their focus is in making sure that process is followed. So again, if you're breaking that process, it becomes more difficult to have that positive dialogue and a positive outcome. Again, ask for a formal meeting just rather than approaching them. I think sometimes people think right after practice is a great time to go approach the coach. Probably not, because they do have a lot on their mind during that session. And they also have to now think of, okay, well, I've got to clean out a dressing room. I got to make sure all these kids are on their ways. If it's after a game, I have to send us, have a conversation. Let's learn what we learned here in the game. They have a lot on the mind. So they might not be able to give you that full attention that conversation deserves at that time. And sometimes that might come off as, well, he or she's just ignoring my concerns. No, coaches here, for the most part, I'm going to say 99% of our coaches, because again, there's always that small percentage in any walk of life that are don't quite align with where we want to be. But again, 99.9% of our coaches are wanting to have a positive experience for their kids.
Right.
I'll go on a limb that 100% have the intent to have that positive experience for the kids. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. So
for sure.
Again, being right up front, the focus, what's the focus of the conversation? It's either to improve, your child's skill or have fun. Those are the two expectations that, again, should be are I don't want to say expected many times, but those are your two expectations, and those should be, again, what that focus is, and those are not unrealistic. Like those, as we go through this program today, we understand that, that all around, those are two realistic expectations to have in participating in the game. So those are the first things. And again, just a couple other pointers. Share your observations. So again, give specific examples and ask questions in an open-minded fashion. So again, it's a two-way street. Maybe there is a reason why this coach was doing this drill in a certain way that, your child might not be having fun with and such. So again, ask questions in an open-minded fashion, but give those specific examples. Again, share solutions and suggestions. Again, your child well. I've had that happen where where parents have told me, this is what makes my child tick. I think during my second time with the kids I coached, toward the end, I did ask them, to get a little bit better knowledge of them, even though I coached many of them for at least 2 years, some upwards of 4 years. But for me to understand what makes them tick. But again, the parents know best. So again, give that feedback to the coach. And this is how, my child reacts to these situations. Here's how I've seen others have success in getting through, those type of things. And again, the big thing is let the coaches also have time to reflect on the discussion, but you can ask for that clear and specific follow-up meeting. But again, be realistic and let them reflect on it, because again, maybe it's something they're not seeing. It's that aha moment. As we talk about this new generation of coaches, they want to get better. They are more vulnerable than they have been in the past, and thinking that I'm always right. Well, no. As you heard from Nathan, as you heard from Sage, as you heard from Greg last week, that again, they all are continuously learning and continuously having their eyes open to different experiences. So again, let them have that time to reflect. But the biggest thing that we want to highlight here again is, let's make sure that we are doing it in an appropriate manner and an appropriate time frame, because like I said, that dragging that on, that fear of conflict, and again, I know everybody has it, but that doesn't help the situation, and it just, like you talked about earlier, adds that tension to the atmosphere that really doesn't benefit the experience at all.
For sure. And when you're having conversations with a coach, if you've got a problem and you address it to the coach after practice or whatnot, I think it's worth being noted as well to probably not have your kid around during that time, because there was times growing up playing hockey where I'd see like a parent's friend just rip into a coach, and we talk about setting good examples for your kids. If your kid sees that, what do you think? The kid's going to follow suit, right? So it's good to have those one-on-one conversations behind closed doors. I feel like, is that fair in saying?
Yeah, I think you want to have that initial one-on-one conversation just to bring it up as there's a situation, and then yes, as you have that dialogue, again, both parties want to be positive in the interaction and get to a solution. Yeah, definitely we can bring the kids in at that point as well, if need be, to have have that further conversation or help understand the situation a little bit more. But again, like you said, when we're having that initial conversation piece, again, let's make sure that we are doing it in an appropriate manner. And if it is a highly charged situation, probably don't want to be having the child there right at that second to witness that, because again, sometimes emotions do escalate. Again, it's just, human nature, but we want to make sure that we are ensuring that at the end of the day, the child's experience is not impacted by whatever interactions there might be. So again, that's how we want to make sure that we are talking to the coaches. But like you said, it's doing it in an appropriate manner.
Yeah, no, awesome. This is the Hockey Edmonton Show. I'm YouTube Trev with Jeremy Haluschak. Hope you guys are having a great day wherever you're tuning in from. This is awesome. We're having a great conversation today. And it's going pretty good, Jeremy. We're chugging along here. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as we go through, there's a couple more speaking points here in that experience that we'll touch on here, and then we'll move on to the next portion of it. But I think that, one of the things that we talk about a lot that I hear is, the winning and the losing. It's not fun when they're losing. And there are times, again, where it does happen, and we do our best efforts to, again, like we told Dustin 2 weeks ago, our goal here, especially in the community programs, is to group like participants together as best as we can. And we do have those mechanisms to make sure that the competition is as fair and equitable as possible. But the end of the day, hockey, there's a lot of things that go on to winning and losing. The Oilers are a prime example. You look at the game-winning goal there. The puck rolled one way, and Florida basically went up the ice and scored. If that puck is on its opposite edge, it rolls into the net, and Edmonton's up 2-1.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to prepare for that, to practice that, or whatever. So again, like I said, we talk a lot about wins and losses, but it's not necessarily the most important thing. Again, we want to bring it back to that perspective. Is your child having fun? And the enjoyment of the activity actually comes from participating in it. Again, it might sound counterintuitive if they're always losing. Well, they can still have a positive experience if they're always losing.
Yeah.
Again, I could look at if you went back in the day, I think we played 24 games. If we went 0-24, but our goals against difference was -24, that says that we lost every game by 1 goal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that probably go into those losses. So I know that's an extreme example, but again, we can do a lot of things to make sure that if we're in those situations that it's still a positive atmosphere for the kids. And again, when they're engaged, they're enjoying being out there, moving around, making friends, gaining self-confidence. That's what the perspective is. That's why we play sports, is, again, to make sure that they're engaged, to ensure that they are out there having fun when they're moving around, making friends, and all of those positive things. So again, that's putting it back into perspective, that wins and losses aren't the most important thing. If you're on one of those teams that does have a lot more losses than wins, frame it a different way. Is what can your child learn from that experiencing? How are they interacting with each other? And again, do they have a smile on their face? Are they working hard? Is their head held high? Are they having fun together? I think there's the article I took this out of. The person was a coach for a female team and said exactly that their team was not heavy on the win side, we'll say. But what he said as a parent and as a coach is when he watched his daughter, she always had a smile on the face. She was always working hard. The team was always having fun together. And that's one of the most important things there. Is are you having fun with your teammates, and are they becoming great friends? And so again, I go back to one of my stories. We lost in the playoffs years ago, our last game with this group. And it was the last game for this group together because, again, in U13, once you get into U15, paths kind of switch around.
Right.
And then especially when you get to U18, then different paths all around. And they knew this was their last game together. And one of the things that I said to them is when you leave the dressing room, the biggest takeaways today is your parents will always know where you are and you're safe, because you guys are such a great group of friends. They do not have to worry about you going to parties without, because they're getting to that age where, junior high, high school, they're getting ready in that age of parties. So again, the parents don't have to worry about, are they off on their own, in an unsafe position or place, because they have a group of friends that they all hang out together. They know each other well. They know everybody has their back, and that's going to go lifelong. And again, talk about it today that I see them all the time together at events. It was at the Holinka. There was a whole group of them that had a row behind where I was sitting. And so again, they've gone to parties. They go to parties all together. They still hang out. Even ones that went a different path, they've come back to the game that they love. And again, they're always hanging out together. So again, those are those lifelong lessons that, again, we want to put in perspective. And then finally, really focus on what they're achieving. Again, you can be in a losing situation and losing all your games, but at the end of the day, are their skills developing? And when their skills develop, the game becomes more easier and fun. So again, it may not be, they might have that temporary disappointment after a loss, but again, we talk about focusing on the marathon. It's not a sprint. So again, if their skills are developing, the game eventually will become easier. So again, if you're in those situations, put it back into perspective. Are they having fun? Are they still enjoying the activity? Are they engaged? Are they interacting with each other in a positive manner? And do they still have a smile on their face, working hard and enjoying each other's company? And again, are their skills developing still? So when you're dealing with those wins and losses sides of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely bringing it today, Jeremy. I just want to say that. But you can learn a lot from winning, but you can learn a heck of a whole lot from losing too. And I can confidently say, I think it was the last year I played hockey. It was by far, it was our worst season to date. I honestly, I think we just won one game. I'm not going to lie. So it was a rough season, but I can confidently say that it was the best season I ever played, because it was the first time ever I got to play with all my buds. And these are friends, I'm still we're best friends. Every time I go back home, we always hang out and we talk about it because it was our last year of hockey. We suck, but like, and it takes a special coach, you know, because some coaches, like, they like to win a lot, but like at the end of the day, like, we were having so much fun. And after practice, we were starting to drive and whatnot. We go to McDonald's, you know, we have a grand old time, but winning is not everything. And quite frankly, that was my favorite season. We lost every single game. So
exactly. And I think, you know, when we talk about wins and losses, you know, how do you navigate that? It's okay to talk about losing. You know, I actually encourage it. You know, if you don't, the child might actually think that, you know, quote unquote failure was so awful it shouldn't be talked about.
Exactly. Like, it's okay to lose.
So yeah, exactly. Have that conversation, but make sure that we are doing it in an appropriate manner. And, you know, that's being a parent instead of a coach. So after the game, there's no need to dwell on what went wrong. Instead, remind them again that they're proud of the hard work and effort. Ask them if they had fun. And again, if you can sense that there is some of that frustration, we'll talk about this a little bit in the next couple of slides after. I shouldn't say couple of slides, but next points here. Again, pulling back the curtain that I do use my computer for notes and that. So, but ask them how it went. You want to have that open conversation with them. And again, like I said, one of the hammer home points is for kids, it's not winning and losing that they care about the most, as highlighted in multiple studies. Have fun, develop skills, do something I'm good at, or stay in shape. Those are the key things. It's if they played their best is what concerns them the most. And again, you'll see that. When you interact with these kids, we need to give them a little bit of credit here in terms of they are fairly self-aware. Again, so that's what's the most important thing. And they understand the game itself as they navigate their journey through it. And again, it's okay to be disappointed after a defeat or a bad performance. That is okay. We're not saying that, you know, it's okay to be losing, and, you know, some people might say that, we're, you know, this loser mentality. No, it is okay to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But this should only be in a short period of time, not dwelling on it multiple days, multiple weeks, dragging into months. Again, after the game, it's okay. It is okay to be upset with that. And then again, those that are having fun focus on the positive processes rather than the results. Again, they will know that if I continue to work on my passing, that means I'm going to be able to break the puck out better. The team will break the puck out better. If we break the puck out better, that means we're going to have more opportunities to score. We have more opportunities to score. Chances are we're going to win more games.
Yep.
So again, they're going to focus on the process as a whole. So let's make sure that we are focusing on the long-term development of our athletes, not just in bite-sized chunks of, well, this game, right? It's a long-term process in all sport.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. This is a Hockey Edmonton Show. I'm YouTube Trev with Jeremy, and you can listen to us on Edmonton Sports Talk.com. So we've talked about a lot, man, and it's a really good conversation at the end of the day. Like, one of the biggest things is just to have a conversation with your kid and figuring out what works and what not. Shall we dive into how to volunteer with your organization?
One more thing, actually,
Absolutely.
Before that. So just as we finalize, so we've kind of gone through the processes almost of, expectations, what happens if, wins and losses in the game. But I think the last one here before we dive into the car ride or the volunteering with your organization is that car ride home. And it is important. You've seen there have been the videos posted. I think Hockey Canada has. A lot of sport organizations have posted this type of, scenario. And I think it's important because it is one of the most critical aspects to a child's sport experience when you think about it. A simple question could be interpreted as an outburst on a coach, teammate, or them. So again, we talk about being disappointed. It's okay to be disappointed, but again, how are we managing that? Kids know they had a bad game. Piling on them creates that stress and negativity toward the game. So again, that's why it's really important. Want to highlight the car ride home process here. Again, we're not suggesting that the car ride home is a silent car ride home. If there's frustrations, hey, that's okay to have those. Have that conversation, but ask them, how did they feel about the game today? Not, again, acting as a coach. Well, you weren't skating hard today, or you weren't doing this properly today. Ask them to have that conversation, because then maybe you'll get that perspective of why they weren't skating that way, why they were falling on the ice. Oh, because my skates weren't sharpened. Okay, let's figure out how do we avoid that situation in the future, right? Exactly. If it's really emotional, give it that 24 hours. If you still feel you need to have a discussion about motivation, behavior, performance, do it when there's been that time to reflect and that emotion is kind of dissipated a little bit, because I think that leads more to meaningful discussion. And it may need to be that heart to heart. You might need to have that. Hey, that's okay to have that, because sometimes the kids may not be looking like they're having fun. But again, right after is not the most appropriate time. With that being said, there are situations where it is appropriate to talk about their practice or their game, and that is if you need to address an inappropriate behavior right away. If you wouldn't tolerate things like fighting, disrespecting your coaches, those type of things, then you address that right away, because I think, just good parenting in terms of addressing that behavior, that expected outcome, and trying to move forward in the situation. So again, when we talk about that car ride home, doesn't have to be silent. Let's make sure that we are having that appropriate discussion. And again, wanting to still make it a positive experience by focusing on, again, the processes, the feelings, and being a parent rather than being a coach, being, specific on this thing you need to do better, right? Let's have that open dialogue and get them having that conversation, because again, that still can be a positive thing.
For sure. It's about finding that balance, eh? And it is, if you don't know, the car ride home is the thing. I have endured plenty of car ride homes. Very fortunate. It was never me. It was never my parents, but we'd carpool a lot growing up, and there were some very awkward times. Like I saw firsthand. Like we had some buds that I played with growing up, and the car ride home, I'm just like, and I feel bad. Like my bud's getting ripped on by his parent. I'm like really? Like, is this like you feel bad? I'm like, I'm so thankful that I don't have to go through this, because it can be unfortunate. It really can. Like it sucks for the kid, right? That's the thing. It's a kid. Come on. Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, no, it's a good point, Jeremy.
No, definitely. And like I said, I think that we want to highlight that, yes, there are things that we can expect in our participant experience. That's a good thing. Showing emotion is a good thing. Having those conversations can be a good thing. It's not all stopping to have making sure that these don't happen. No, those are all good things. Let's just make sure that we are doing it in an appropriate manner, because again, that's going to impact the participant experience, how your child feels about the game. So again, that's what we want to try to hope for as we talk about creating that positive parent experience for the child. And again, really, it'll help you as a parent navigating this hockey journey. If you're brand new to it, if you're a seasoned vet, hopefully, again, there are some aha moments. And again, like you said, we'll post these links up on our website with respect to the video that we post every week about the show. So again, there's a lot of great articles out there. And once again, we want to share that knowledge with the people as well.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I think it's about that time where if you made it this far, thank you for watching on the show. But we are in the final segment of today's show, and it is how to volunteer with your organization.
Yeah, for sure. And we talk about hockey creates a community. And yeah, it's easy to see it at the kids. You see them making friends. You see them becoming lifelong friends and that community. But it goes beyond that. You can create a community through volunteerism as well. And again, hockey is a great outlet for that. That's what we're proud of. Talk about the kids that I used to coach. Well, again, their parents I'm friends with. They become lifelong friends. They've come from all kinds of backgrounds. Those that have played, those that haven't. Bring them together with their kids. They become best friends, and it's a great thing to see. So again, there's that community aspect at the parent level as well. So how can you volunteer with your organization? Well, our associations, our organizations, we rely on the work of volunteers. All sport organizations do that. And again, we're proud of that. We're proud of the volunteerism within our communities, be it from Edmonton, St. Albert, Sherwood Park, Redwater, Vegreville, go down the list, all the way through the province. We're proud to be a volunteer supported organizations, and in a lot of cases, volunteer-run organizations, something that we are proud of. That helps ensure that kids have great experiences, that the game is affordable. And again, like I said, it just builds a better community within the places that you all live in. At the end of the day, people tend to forget that the organizations are all not-for-profit organizations. They're basically a business. And so again, that's why we do rely on our volunteers to operate a business. We also, obviously, we rely on them to deliver the game of hockey. So again, we talk about there's a lot of ways, and we're going to go into a little bit more in depth here. But again, they're responsible for delivering a game at the end of the day, a product. They're there to ensure that the team functions properly as well. So there's multiple levels to volunteer. So again, different opportunities, and again, they can enhance the participant experiences. We see a lot of creative ways that volunteers, parents help enhance that experience for the players. And so again, there's a lot of ways that you can volunteer with your organization. So again, we ask, well, why would I want to volunteer? It's a fair question. We have a lot of things on our plates. But at the end of the day, volunteering, it serves as a role model for positive behaviors. It demonstrates the importance of giving back and being involved in your community, and your kids now will understand that importance. You're just passing that down to them. And again, I'm seeing that with the kids I used to coach. They want to get in the game and coaching and such, and participating around the rinks and such. So again, it shows that importance of community, and again, just a positive role model behavior. Like we said, it strengthens bonds and builds a sense of community. Parents who volunteer often form connections with other families and create that lifelong friendships, the supportive network, and everybody benefits from that. So again, you're going to create lifelong friends and a network of people that you can rely on. Again, we look at it and we see that in the game that, again, when we need volunteers for specific things, we have a good group that come together to run programming, help us out in organizations and such. So again, they create those lifelong friendships, and again, it's that strengthening of community. Again, like we said, enhances the quality of the program. Volunteers ensure that experiences run smoothly, efficiently, and really enhance that experience. Again, we'll go into different levels and different examples, but again, talk about making sure that we're here to enhance your child's experience. At the end of the day, here's a great way to help enhance that. Again, building lifelong memories. It creates lasting memories through that shared experience. So again, talk about these parents that have volunteered in different roles, and they talk about, again, the experiences of being in that team environment and just being in that close proximity to see how their players develop, continue to develop. That's what brings them back. I know at my time at Hockey Alberta, we've had for our Team Alberta programs a lot of the same directors of operations. So essentially, they deal with the back end stuff, so the coaches can focus on the players. Again, a lot of them come back just because it's great to see these kids develop as people, develop as hockey players, and have those lifelong connections with them. So again, they build those memories. I know one of my former coworkers and friends, he loved working for the Prospects Cup and being part of that championship team. And, we had a little bit of camaraderie around the offices when our staff would volunteer for that, and, showing off the trophies and that. But again, like I said, those are those memories that they have for a long, long time. And again, lastly, as we heard from the coaches last week, is a great way to remain in the game. If you want to continue staying in the game that you love, this is a great way to do it.
Totally. Yeah, those are good points there, Jeremy. This is awesome. This is really good. Thank you for joining us. If you're just tuning in now, this is the Hockey Edmonton Show. I'm YouTube Trev with Jeremy Haluschak, as we're on the final stretch of today's episode, and it's a lot of great conversations going on here. But let's continue.
Yeah, for sure. So like we said, I hope that right off the bat, as we started this conversational piece, that you can understand that there are a lot of ways you can volunteer with your organization. And hopefully, again, you want to become part of your community. If you're new to your community, this is a great way to do it. Obviously, at the high level, our board of directors, every organization is a not-for-profit. They have to have a board of directors to help navigate and run the organization. So again, most people will be familiar with that form. But on the level below that, the actual day-to-day administration of the game is where we do rely on most of our volunteers. So this might mean you're helping out with player registration, category directors, if there's organizations that have multiple, age groups, again, there might be a person that's responsible for managing those age groups and working with the coaches, working with the team dynamics, all those fun things. Fundraising, a lot of our associations do have people in place that manage fundraising. Marketing, another aspect. So again, if you have those skills, always welcome there. There's the discipline side of it. So again, when discipline happens, there are people that need to be responsible for that. So if you have a good background in potentially, processes, lawyer, legal, those type of things, familiarity, again, here's an opportunity to be part of a discipline committee or an appeals committee. Again, equipment manager, ice allocator, minor hockey association safety person, one that I'm passionate about. When I was at Hockey Alberta, was creating that role for safety people who help ensure a safe environment by showing their expertise. Again, we have one of our really good associations down south was Okotoks Minor Hockey. Again, 2 nurses. They've taken that program and absolutely ran with it to a point. It is probably a standard across not only Alberta, but I bet across the country. So again, at the administrative level, there's those opportunities. At the team level, obviously the most visible, the bench staff. So your coaches, your head coach, your assistant coach, your trainer, or your team safety person. So again, every association has to have somebody on the bench that can manage a situation as it arises safety-wise. So again, those are the 3 bench staff. Beyond that, again, to make sure that there is a functioning team and the team rolls smoothly, there's a team behind the team, and those are, the team-specific roles. So you could have a manager, definitely is one of the most common ones. Treasurer is another one that a lot of teams do have. Parent liaison, somebody that might be an expert in travel if you're a team that does travel a lot or needs to travel. Again, having somebody there. Social media, somebody that's great at social media. Well, there you go. There's an opportunity for them to volunteer. A photographer. A lot of times you see parents that have that photography skill. They act as the team photographer, and you get those great action shots that, again, enhance the kids' experience. The social convener, we talk about it, but hockey is a social event. So that means, somebody responsible for those social aspects and ensuring those come up without a hitch. So again, there's a lot of opportunities here to be part of the team behind the team or part of your organization. So again, I think, once again, if you have the skills, there's going to be no organization here, I'm confident to say, that will not take you up on the opportunities to donate your time. And so how do you do it? At the end of the day, first one, have those conversations with your association. I think when we talked about 2 weeks ago with Dusty about, expectations and such, one of the things was understanding your organization, having conversations and really learning about them. This is the more fun part about it. That was talking about processes, if things are not going as you envision them during your child's experience. Again, this is the positive one. So have those conversations with your associations. Really learn about your association and be participative in it. Again, the most obvious, you'll see it all the time, is coach recruitment. So again, having those conversations, though, will help you uncover potentially other opportunities there that might not be as upfront as, like I said, coach recruitment, board member recruitment. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and kind of nervous about it, there are supports in place. We will make sure, our associations will make sure that, yes, you feel comfortable. Number one, as we talked about, our coach clinics, we are going to make sure that you have a base level of competency to coach. And again, I'm going to highlight this in a couple of seconds here, but again, we're going to make sure that level is there. Hockey Canada has a great manager's manual. Again, share it with everybody. It's available on their website. Again, here you go, turnkey solution to helping you volunteer. Biggest thing, your fellow volunteers. We talk about that community. we all are here to bring each other up, and we will all help you navigate that. So again, do not feel afraid to volunteer. If you have some experience but are nervous, I might not be perfect, that's okay. Or I have the expertise, but I don't have the experience. Again, that's going to be okay. We're going to make sure that we help you through that. And again, at the end of the day, if you have something to contribute, you will be welcomed, be it your effort or your skills, and you do not have to play or experience hockey. I think one of the conversations I had with a person I volunteer with, and I'm hoping actually to get her on the air. I don't know if she's seeing this or watching this, but a little bit of a heads up that I might be coming to talk to you about a couple of different perspectives she brings. But she was never a hockey player, but a very high level athlete.
Okay.
So yeah, she can contribute to the sport, a specific aspect of the sport, skating. Yeah, she can definitely. So she's now an assistant coach as a mom, and again, she can bring that aspect. She told me the story about a couple of other coaches on there, that one of them is a Pandas player. Again, if you're a mom, do not feel intimidated about coming out to participate. The kids will respect you. They will think it's neat that they have a high-level athlete, a multiple high-level athletes when you think about it. Wow, this is cool. I'm learning from these people. This is awesome. And again, do not feel intimidated, because again, these are people that have the skills. They have that knowledge. They're just excited to be going out there and sharing it. So again, those are the biggest things. Do not feel overwhelmed. Do not feel intimidated. If you have the time, the effort, the skills, the expertise, our associations, our organizations will make sure that, we can match those skills up appropriately.
Yeah, no, it definitely, it can be intimidating for sure. Like, we've all been there. I volunteered. My grandma, she, the apple don't fall far from the tree. And like you said, she volunteered, and, I just saw the joy and why she volunteered. So, I'm going to partake in this as well. So absolutely, you can definitely volunteer, and there's many ways to volunteer, like Jeremy just highlighted there. So yeah, no, that's awesome. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this was a great show. I think one of the things we want to highlight again, that being a positive role model as a parent makes such a significant impact, whether your child has a positive or negative experience. And again, the behaviors, whether it's intended or not, those have that impact. We talk about intent versus impact. It's okay to celebrate. It's okay to cheer. It's okay to have those difficult conversations. Again, making sure that the intent and how you're doing it is mimicking the impact that you want to have. Because again, I don't think any parent wants to sit there and, make their kids' experience in hockey bad. I don't think any parent wants to go in there and have a barroom argument with a coach. Again, it's how are we doing this? It's the intent versus the impact. Again, wins and losses are not the most important thing here. Focus first on fun and improve skills improvement. The rest will come. Again, you've heard this before. Hockey is not a sprint. It is a marathon. Hockey builds a community, not just for the players. So again, talked about the volunteers. That is huge. It's such a great opportunity and something that we are proud of. There's many ways, again, to be involved in hockey. If you have the skills, the expertise, or the desire, definitely we can find a place for you. Everything that I've referenced actually will be on our website. So under playhockeyedmonton.ca, you go to the About Us, you'll see the Hockey Edmonton Show. Each episode, we're going to put the articles that we've referenced here in these programs on there, so you can read on them. Again, a lot of great expertise out there, and again, we want to make sure that we're sharing those information. Again, questions or show topics, office at hockeyedmonton.ca. Put in the subject line, the Hockey Edmonton Show. And again, never too late to get into the game or to play or volunteer. We're still doing registration. Our Learn to Play programs are still going on for the fall, the winter and the spring. I think our fall might be a waiting list, but again, we'll get you going there. And again, volunteering. This is a great time. The season is starting up. Here's a great time. You're going to have your parent meetings. Great time to offer to volunteer. So again, never too late to get into the game.
Beauty. Absolutely, Jeremy. Well, what a heck of a show. Hope you learned something today. I think you did if you tuned in. This is awesome. This is the Hockey Edmonton Show. We will be back next week for episode number 5. Great discussions all day long. I'm happy Dusty didn't yell at us. That was very nice. Exactly. He was joking around.
Yep.
So
I was waiting for the banging on the glass or the door here and calling us out, saying that we're idiots.
For sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. So leave a like, drop a comment down below, guys. And thanks for all the continued support. We're really having a lot of fun with this. So I'm YouTube Trev. This is Jeremy. One hell of a show today. And we'll see you next week.